And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket.
Hey! Can everybody hear us all right? Can you hear us okay? Yep, got us? Cool. Awesome. This is Jaye.
Hey guys.
So the reason I wanted to bring Jaye with you guys is obviously a lot of you talk about his amazing salons, and he's one of the leading salons in Australia, and he's got a lot of great advice, and he's, you know, social media is amazing, which I know some of you have trouble with. And also you are doing a lot of rebrands and salon moving and stuff like that. So speaking of someone with 7 salons now? Yeah, 7 salons is a good place to start. So I condensed your 130 something questions into 35. Because one of you asked the same things anyway, and I've broken it into sort of a few sections to make it easier for you anyway. So if you guys have any questions too, Charlie's watching the chat, and she'll be kind of putting her hand up if there's any questions that you guys need to ask or anything like that. But, I wanted to start with branding.
Yes.
Because people really struggle with branding. So why did you brand Edwards & Co? I mean, obviously you're the face of the business. Why did you use colours? Why did you name it that? Like, where did that all start?
So I guess for me, I had a few different names in mind.
Yep.
But I think when you're naming a hair salon or any place really, it needs to be something memorable.
Yep.
And I think
Easy.
I think using names that relate to hair aren't memorable.
I agree.
So, you know, the first name I actually registered was at the company, because it was at like the time Instagram and Twitter were getting big. So I decided to try that. And then at the very last minute, I was like, fuck, it's not gonna work. Like, what am I doing?
Just gut was going no.
Yeah, my gut feeling which just wasn't right. And I was like, what's like something that isn't related to hair that's strong, and like people will be curious about what it is.
Yeah.
So I just was like, Edwards.
Yeah.
Edwards & Co.
Yeah.
And at that time, there were a few places around that were restaurants or PR agencies that were something in Co.
Yeah.
Now everyone's called something in Co, but that's cool.
Yeah.
So,
it's kind of intriguing though, isn't it? Because you're like, wait, what is this? I was like that when I first started. I was like, hang on, who is this? What is this? I want to know more about it.
Exactly. And like at that time, my whole thing was freelancers. So that's where the name Co came from. And then with the color, like I had a little bit of help with my branding from a girl at that time called Ellie. And I don't know, we went through so many different things, and we really tried to figure out a color that is like absolutely totally memorable. Yeah. And like that kind
totally
of
different to normal black and white.
Yeah, it was just something that pops.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's not an ugly color.
It's like it's gender neutral as well.
Yes,
it's like in the middle.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gender neutral, it's in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not an ugly brand.
But it's like right too. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
And it's simple.
Yeah.
You can put it anywhere. It works like with any palette.
Yeah.
If I wanted to plaster the brand on anything, it would just work.
Yeah, 100%, but it's still different to everybody else.
Yeah.
That's why we did like the dusty pink and the dark blue. So it's like it's so different to everybody else.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, you know, it's important to seek help from professionals.
Totally.
Because if you don't know how to do branding and you're not a graphic designer, go and find one.
Yeah.
Don't attempt to do it yourself, because you're going to come up with something that probably won't work.
And everybody's already got it. Yeah, exactly. I love it. It's really, really cool. Is there like, you know, obviously a part of your branding is the actual salon fit out as well. Like it's so you just see it, you're like, yeah, that's Jaye.
Yeah.
Is there a different, like, unique vibe to each of your salons? Are they kind of same but different, or like what do you do? Because they're obviously completely different areas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess for the first 6 salons, they were all really similar vibe.
Yep.
I used the same suppliers and furniture makers.
And same artists and stuff too, right? Yeah.
So with the most recent one in Sydney, I decided to do it differently.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it more luxe. I wanted it to be more showroomy and less warehousey.
Yeah.
So I just spent a lot more money in getting those things.
Yes.
But the one thing I kept in common was the artwork.
Yeah.
So for me, they all need to tie in.
Yeah, there needs to be something similar. Yeah, I love that.
I used the same furniture makers, but I said it's time to shape it up to a whole different thing. But like when I say a whole different, so upstairs in this salon we're in right now in Melbourne.
So we're on the bottom floor at the moment. There's like 2 levels. So this is your cutting area,
this is cutting.
and upstairs is colour.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
There's like a 8-meter long wood and marble table.
Yep.
In Sydney, the new salon, I put a terrazzo stone table.
Oh,
so it's like similar but not totally different.
It's still stone, but it's completely different stone.
Yeah. And like I'm already planning my next salon, so but this one's going to be even more different.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be
nice. Different
game
area.
changer, different area. And it's just going to be different to everything else.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. What do you think like your biggest social media or branding success has been? It's a very specific question. I love that one.
My biggest social media or branding success.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really important to partner and collaborate.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's what makes social media such a success. We did a recent collaboration about 3 months ago with the clothing label who have like 3 million followers.
Amazing.
So we like gave away $1,000 hair.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And then we used the Catch Up and Casa, which is in Byron Bay as well.
Yeah.
And
so then you're promoting that as well.
Yeah. And that increased our following by I think about 20,000 followers.
Huge.
Increased my personal following by about 10,000.
Yep.
For doing things like that have been super successful. I just think it's really like social media has to be utilized in a really in a way that isn't the same.
Yeah,
if you do the same, it's going to blow up space.
It's boring. Yeah.
And no one will follow you.
Yeah. 100%. And you're definitely like one of the people that's known for kind of like doing different things and leading the way. Do you employ or meet with branding and marketing strategists, or has the brand evolved organically from you and like your vision, your team? And I don't know, that's a really great question. Yeah.
So I've never actually engaged in a branding and marketing strategist until last week.
Yeah. I've got questions about her here as well.
So it kind of evolved naturally. I have a lot of people who work for me. I've got a digital content creator, I've got a PR manager. Everything, but I've never had a marketer or a brand strategist.
Yeah.
And the reason I did engage with them last week was because I am at a point where my brand has grown like exponentially. Where I don't know where else to go now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep doing the same thing. I want to turn Epsom Co into a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
Like a hair and lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
I don't want to be just a hair salon.
Yeah, nice.
So that's why I engaged with them, just to see from a different perspective of where I could be taken.
Yeah, awesome. Do you attend many branding or business seminars or workshops, or like how do people sort of start into that? Like where did yours sort of start, I guess? Because, you say that you've got 7 salads, I've got some people who've got, 1 or 2 staff members. So how does that start?
I've never been to a branding or marketing seminar in my life.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes those things can confuse you.
I think you just got to be yourself, right?
Yeah. It's important to be authentic. Like definitely seek advice, but I'm not convinced of those seminars.
Yeah. 100% agree with you. No, that's good. Cool. So the next thing they all tie in hand a little bit, but next bit is marketing.
Yes.
Tell me about your marketing. How do you create campaigns? How far in advance do you organize them?
Yeah.
Who helps? How do you manage it? Track the metrics, follow the results, or the whole marketing thing?
So
the journey of marketing campaign.
So we do create our content like a month in advance.
Yeah.
And we kind of figure out what we want to focus on for that month. So I think right now we're just focusing on get your dream hair. Nice. Because we're kind of unsure what direction we want to take it in right now.
And then, I believe it changes as well. Like it constantly changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we see drops in sales in direct relation to what we're marketing at that time. So our next marketing thing is actually going to be targeted to a younger audience who would pay less for hair.
Okay.
So I have a lot of emerging stylists who charge less.
Yeah.
So people don't know that though. A lot of people, if you ask people, 10 people in the room who don't come to Epsom Co and you ask why they don't, they say it's too expensive. Yeah. Because I mean you're like 500-ish bracket.
Yeah,
exactly. So we want to really get out there that we do actually charge less. Yeah. And people who charge less still do the same great work. And it's a great way to build those younger stylists as well. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of targeting on Facebook ads and all that kind of stuff, we have we do remarketing. So we use our own database to remarket. I find that gets us more hits than trying to figure out a whole new thing. It's so underutilized, you're not activized completely. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah. If you want to try and target a whole new market, my advice would be to contact a Facebook marketing agency. Yep. And go down that path because that's their job and then they have to do it well. And there's so many of them out there too, and good ones too, right? Yeah, absolutely. So when you say just drop some sales, how do you track that? So for say you obviously look at all of your numbers very closely as well, because I know that I rely on some of you guys to track your numbers really well, but you've got to look at it, right? Yeah, so I've got a full-time accounts person. Yeah, so do I. I can actually look at my accounts sheets and see That's great, isn't it? Yeah. End of week reports. Yeah, I'm good, yeah. So for instance, if 1 month we're focused focusing on extension sales, we'll see a really big increase in that.
You see like a big spike.
And then the next month, where we won't be focusing on marketing on that, we'll see a drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just important to know those things. Because if you don't know those things, then what's the point?
Yeah. And so then do you see things, so when you design your marketing, like how do you choose the category or whatever you're going to focus on? Is it something you see is a bit lower? Is it something you see it's really trend? Like how do you decide that sort of thing as well?
What's trending and what's not performing.
Yeah, beautiful. We do exactly the same thing. Yeah.
So right now, extensions are trending.
Totally.
Everyone wants extensions and they're willing to pay thousands of dollars for it. But I'm looking into other avenues of extensions because everyone does tape and curves and bottoms.
Yeah,
100%.
Curves and bottoms are awful. I don't know why anybody does them.
Well, I mean, they do so well in our salon. I don't do them myself, but
I don't know why anybody does them.
I love tape.
I love tape too. No, that's awesome. What do you view as the key platforms to market on?
Facebook and Instagram, definitely.
Yeah.
Sometimes LinkedIn is useful depending on what your demographic is.
Yep.
But Facebook, when I started Facebook, paid Facebook ads, I increased my sales by 20,000 a month.
Amazing. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. And do you have like a marketing budget?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have a budget, but we on average spend $4,000 a month.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, what were the rules regarding social media prior to Olivia taking over full time? Were there regulations regarding posting? Were the posts checked by anyone? Yeah.
So prior to Olivia taking over, who's done a fucking incredible job, Andrew.
Yeah, Olivia. I love my people too. It's like Charlie. She's my person.
Another girl who was great at her job. She was good at her job, but not great.
Yeah.
So that we don't really have any regulations around or guidelines around what should be posted. On our main page, there has to be consistency, continuity in what we post. So there are we just use content that works.
Yeah.
Even if the same person gets posted 3 times in a row, it's not about who did it, it's about what the picture is, what the video is.
Yeah.
In terms of staff having their own accounts, they can post whatever they want. But again, if we share their work, there's an increase in their sales. If we don't share their work, there's a decrease in their sales.
Totally.
There's always a direct correlation between increase in sales or decline in sales.
Yeah. And so you have one main Edwards & Co, and then you have the other salons as well, or do you just have the other staff as well?
How do you mean?
Do you have one Edwards & Co for all of your salons, or do you have Melbourne, Sydney?
No, I have one Instagram account for all the salons, but then Facebook, each has their own location.
Yeah, because you kind of need to.
Yes.
Do you use any referral programs?
No, I don't use any referral programs. I just think that giving away hair or discounts or whatever it might be for someone coming in, I just don't think it's necessary, and people need their hair done, so they're going to refer them to you anyway. Yeah,
totally. Awesome. So I know we touched on social media, but this whole section is about social media. For beginners, how do you get yourself out there? How do you retain and grow your engagement? How do you get new followers? How do you convert all of them to clients?
Okay, so
where do you start?
I think that what's important to realize now is Instagram photos are taken for Instagram, not in the salon. So I had taught a class yesterday where it was purely focused on building content and why we build content. Taking photos of facial lights in the salon doesn't get you clients, unfortunately. Because everyone does that. So it's really important to find out what your target market is and what your demographic is and who your clients are, and then create content for them to recommend clients to you. The moment you are off track of who your demographic is and who your target market is, that's when you stop. That's when you don't retain clients and when you don't get new ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. How do you define your ideal prospect?
So I would actually just use the Instagram to do that and look at your stats, your insights.
If you guys haven't looked at that stuff, it's pretty incredible. You can literally see where people are from, their gender, their age, so many demographics, and it's just so easily available.
So on mine, I have more followers in Melbourne than I do in Sydney, but I'm a Sydney-based company.
So weird.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
And Melbourne's different to Sydney too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
So if anyone doesn't know how to see the insights on Instagram, you have to be a business account. So if you're not a business account, you need to make a Facebook business page and then link it up, and that way you can convert it to a business account.
Totally. So good. Social media influencers.
Yeah.
Talk to me about them.
So I'm actually doing a whole reshift of how we do that.
Yeah, cool.
Because I'm finding a lot of the bigger ones that we had on board now are joining up with paid pay hair brands.
Yep.
Like the hair brands to pay them to do stuff.
Yep.
Which for me, like, is not okay because I've invested a lot of resources into doing the hair.
100%, yeah.
So we're actually getting rid of the bigger ones.
Yep.
And focusing on micro influencers, which are influencers who have like
Up and
20
coming.
and 50,000 followers.
Nice.
And like, you know, it's great. They're the ones you can build content with because you can put in, I have an agreement for all of them. And that's like for a color and cut, you have to do 2 posts and 4 Instagram stories, and then be available for us to create content on 4 days a year or something like that.
Yep.
Whatever it might be.
Great.
If it's just a blow dry, then it's just 1 post, 1 Insta story.
Yep.
I think it's important to be specific what they should be tagging.
I agree.
So look at geo tag, content tag, photo tag, everything like that. Be very specific in what you want. Have them sign it before they have their hair done.
Yep.
So there's a contractual agreement in what's happening.
Yeah,
If there's no contractual agreement, they'll take the piss.
Yeah, it's
and
black
it's
and
human
white.
nature to do that.
Yeah, you want it black and white and
Yeah.
Okay, so on that tags and hashtags.
Tags and hashtags. Look, that's really dependent on what you kind of want to get out there. If you do the same hashtags, Instagram hides your images. So it's important to on every photo use different hashtags.
Yeah.
So don't copy and paste from your notes.
Yeah.
Because I reckon Instagram has a way of tracking that. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, nice.
But just change them up all the time. You know, hashtag unicorns like balayage, highlights, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And really do your research and find out what accounts share photos.
Yeah.
And especially the brands that you use, all the brands that you use should always be tagged.
100%. They should be regrabbing you.
Yes.
Stories and everything.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't getting that, you're not tagging enough, you're not doing what they want.
Yeah, and if you are tagging them and the brands you use aren't sharing your stuff, then that's a conversation you need to have with the brands
100%.
that you're buying from.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing is also it's good to know that brands have an aesthetic and they only post their aesthetic. So if your work isn't up to scratch, they're not going to post your work.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to look within as well.
I 100%
and your own
agree.
work and go down
And
that
good
route.
photos around that too. Like that really is really important as
Yeah.
well because sometimes it just doesn't reflect in the photo.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Tips to creating better live videos and stories.
So stories for me are actually more important than Instagram photos.
Yep.
Because you'll actually be able to get more content by Insta stories. If lighting's really bad in the salon and you're taking a photo and it looks atrocious, change it to a video and the lighting will be better.
Yeah, right.
So
I
that's
love
right.
how you say it was so terrible.
Yeah, that's not, especially in this salon at night time, you cannot get a photo.
We're the same.
Good time.
Yep, yeah. We're the same.
So we take a video and it's much better.
Yeah.
In
Picks
terms
up
of-
the light differently. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like, I think it's important to remember that if you take photos now, you might not like it today, but you might like it in a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might, your eyes are looking at it,
Yeah.
and just taking a step back and like, oh, it's okay now.
Yeah.
And in terms of like live videos, I don't know, just like if you're doing a live video, do it with purpose.
Yeah.
Don't just do it because that's really boring. So do it with purpose, and people will follow you and tune in.
Yeah. And I think just like giving people information, like people just like to think they know everything. It's like just give away, just talk about things,
Yeah.
just talk, and
Absolutely.
you know, let them in on things. Let me go on that page. Cool. Okay, so with your imagery, because we're on that topic actually, do you use a ring light? How do you take great photos? What kind of camera do you use? What do you use to do your stories? Is it
Yeah.
iPad, iPhone? Like what's your
So I don't use ring lights, I don't like ring lights.
Yep.
I think they give an unnatural look to the hair. It's really important for us when we're taking photos that hair looks natural, even if it's not.
and it's hair, right? It's meant to not look 100% perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we just use an iPhone. I don't like the iPhone X to take photos. I think it's too clear. So if you do have an iPhone X, turn your HD off.
Yep.
And
That's
then
pretty
my
fast.
favorite iPhone is the iPhone 7. It's because the camera is it's not too clear, but it's clear enough to
That's what we have in our drawer, iPhone 7, my old
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And with the lighting on the iPhone 8 and the iPhone X, it actually shows too much brightness around the hair, and you don't want brightness around the hair.
Yeah.
You want like on the hair.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't really use a professional camera. I just think it's wasting money.
I find that people use SLRs, they still go back to their iPhones.
Me too.
Yeah, like everyone I speak to, they're like, oh, it's good, but it's like, my iPhone's better.
Back to my iPhone.
Yeah, and it's like $5,000 or something, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Salon space, how do you choose your locations?
So a lot of the time I do choose my locations based on the space.
Yep.
So for instance, like
So obviously they're all warehousey spaces except for the new one you said.
it's still it's in a
Just not
warehouse.
warehouse
but, like,
looking.
polished.
Yeah.
So when I did my second Sydney location, which is is in Alexandria.
Yep.
That wasn't like really on my radar.
Yep.
Because it's a suburb that is a little hard to get to. It's really bad traffic, not good parking.
Yep.
And there's not much around there.
Yep.
But in 5 years' time, there's probably going to be hectic. But I walked into this space and I knew right away this was it.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful warehouse loft.
Yeah.
So it has like a first floor and then the mezzanine area.
Yeah.
And I just knew it was it. And the same when I found this Melbourne space, it's in like Chinatown in Melbourne.
I love how close it is to China. I actually didn't realise where exactly it was. Yeah.
All about it.
Oh my god, yes.
I just walked in and I was like, this is the one.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think
It's a feeling, isn't it?
it's a feeling, but also I think when people are like, oh, but it's hard for my client to get to, or it's hard for my client, who cares?
They'll come to you.
That's right. Your parking isn't your problem. That's your client's problem.
Yeah.
So don't buy into their problem.
Okay,
You know
that's
what I mean?
really good.
That's my view.
I love that, and I actually totally agree with you. And being on that too, obviously they're all kind of like laneways and like hidden away and everything too, so you don't really get foot traffic. So, you know, how did you sell that? Like, how did you start that?
So
Because I've got the benefit of street front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't used to, but I do now. Yeah.
My view around that, not having street front, I feel like it gives a little bit of an exclusive.
It's again that intriguing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to see what it looks like.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. And we often have people just coming in to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
A lot of hairdressers come in to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Stalkers.
Yeah. So I just think having it off street gives like a little bit of people are curious, gives an exclusive vibe, and then when people come in, it's like, oh wow, I didn't know this was gonna be here. It's like an oasis.
It is, yeah. It's really hidden away, and it's like in such a cool little spot.
Yeah.
For you guys who haven't been here, you like, I just drove up here before and I was like, there's all houses, but it's like the backs of houses.
Yes.
It's like all garages. It was weird.
That's
It's
the front of
good.
the house.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. It's
I
so
think
good.
as well with spaces, I just love oh, that's right. My view on foot traffic, and it's like, I mean, I would got different views, is they're not long-term clients.
I agree.
So
100%.
I think,
They want a one-stop shop and then they walk out and then come back. Yeah.
I think people who come find you are a long-term investment.
Yeah, totally. So, with the actual design and build of your salons, do you hire a design company? Do you do it yourself? What happens?
I design all the salons myself.
Yeah.
I have never used the same builder twice because there's some of them that I haven't liked.
Yeah.
But I do use the same furniture makers.
Yep.
One of my favorite furniture makers is Tough Box Design in Melbourne.
Yeah, you tagged me in some of their stuff and I was looking for bench seats and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
they're really, really good. They can be expensive,
That's okay.
but they do really great quality work.
Yeah. You can see that even in all your cabinetry and everything that's like just done really beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, there are ways you can spend money on some things and not on other things.
Yeah.
Like these mirrors behind us, they were like $300.
Yeah, perfect. Yep.
Like super cheap.
Love it.
Whereas like other things.
We're the same. Our pallet tables were like $300, but then there's like exposing our bricks and everything costs a bloody fortune.
Yes.
Yeah, and
It's
polishing the
small
floors
touches.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So on that, where do you source your plants? Because obviously you're like cactus man, and your art, your furniture, you said you get built. You don't actually buy it from anyone pre-made. Obviously chairs and stuff you do, but not things like mirrors.
Yeah. So I mean, I do a lot of research into finding out where I want to buy things from.
Yep.
And I like building relationships with people
Yeah.
long term.
Nice.
Because having just like one-off things, I don't like that.
Yep.
My plants, I always contact companies who rent them to you. I don't own them.
Yeah, right.
That way, if a plant, they come in every 2 weeks and like, you know,
That's amazing.
like garden or whatever. And if they die, they replace them for free.
Yeah.
So you pay a fee of like $20 a week, something along those lines, depending on how
We
many
need to
you
do
have.
this. Yeah, our plants always die.
Yeah, so, and on my first salon, I had my own plants, but they kept dying. So that's
You
why.
said your cacti kept dying, didn't you? Like, I killed so many of these bloody
Yeah.
cacti, and they're like hundreds of dollars.
They're so expensive.
Yeah.
So in particular,
Because you want established plants. You want big, beautiful, bushy, established,
Yes.
stunning, not like little chitty bitty things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why we end up finding someone who owns them and we rent them.
Yeah.
Because the big ones are really expensive.
Yeah.
And to keep replacing them is too costly.
Yeah, I love it.
For furniture, for my chairs, I mean the ones I'm sitting on from Gleeks,
Yep.
they're super affordable. So like things like that I don't spend too much money on. However, in my new salon, my chairs cost $1,000 each.
Yeah, wow.
So I did,
That's the different lux factor, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then just like small bits and pieces, like I'm looking at another company in Melbourne called I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Heimur, Heimur.
Yeah, right.
And they make beautiful
Swedish
furniture.
Yeah,
So
nice.
beautiful. Lots of rattan.
Nice. That's so different. Again, completely not industrial, like totally different. I love. And so, how do you come up with a budget? Is it the same for every salon? Is it completely different? Do you just kind of do what I do and go, oh yeah, I'm going to spend $100 and go like double it?
Yeah. So I always have a budget of around $100,000.
Yes.
For the newest one, I tripled that
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
But I always try and aim for 100, and it definitely always goes over.
Always blows out, right?
Yeah, and like things happen that are out of your control. Like I didn't realize in my new salon that my electric bills would be $100,000. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, I was just saying, I was putting 10 grand and it 35. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Break my
Which is
heart.
shitty, but I mean, it's important to prepare for those things.
Yeah.
Or know that you can borrow the money at least.
Yeah.
If shit goes to shit.
Yeah, 100%. I always say to people, like, just add like another 50% on top of whatever your budget is. Because there's always, and we were the same, like, our ceilings were so crooked. They're like, basically, we're going to have to redo your entire electrical and plumbing and fix your ceiling. I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine. And then I can't get the pretty things done. Like,
Totally.
yeah, no, that's awesome. I agree. I'm glad that you say that it blows out. I hope it's so long.
My new salon's like $500,000.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
I feel sick.
But it does, but it'd be worth it. It'd be stunning.
I hope so.
You'd be right, it'd be worth it. Manifested, it'd be worth it. Staff.
Yeah.
How do you find your team members and what's your induction process? Like how long do you spend training them? When do you put on the floor? Who are they?
Yeah.
Obviously you've got the more like, not booth rental, but it's like rent chair sort of scenarios about commission structure.
Yeah. So
Which is the future, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know it now. I don't convinced anymore. I only have 30% of my team that are freelance.
Yep.
And 70% are employees.
Nice.
I find myself by Instagram. I don't use traditional hiring platforms. I don't think they work. And I think it's important to have things to offer that others don't. Like for instance, I offer.
You relocate as well, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you relocate people.
So I offer 5 weeks paid in the leave.
Yep.
I offer really high retail incentives, extension incentives, service incentives.
Yep.
What else? I always relocate people if they're right. I'm just relocating a guy from Hawaii.
Wow.
Another girl from LA.
Yep.
How
do you interview people that are over there? How do you know they're right?
I just talk to them a lot on Skype.
Trust
my gut. Trust my gut. It's important to trust your feelings. These two I know are right.
Yeah.
They're going to be game changers for me.
Yeah.
And I think don't be scared to relocate people.
We've done it once.
Yeah.
And it's been successful myself that I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't be scared about it. But definitely have something to offer that others don't.
Yeah.
You know. And another thing I just implemented is everyone gets a gym membership at the Chosen Gym.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I mean?
Why do you do that? Health and fitness, just important for well-being.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Like people, like all my staff go to the gym, pretty much every one of them.
And it was $500 a year or whatever it may cost you.
Yeah.
It's what price to pay, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like also when they leave, because some have left, they go somewhere else and like, whoa, okay.
I have to make this now.
Yeah.
I love that. What's your training process? Like with your salon training, with your team members, with your commission people? What happens there?
I can't go into the induction. So with the induction process, so any new team member who comes on board at a 2-week induction, they shadow a colorist for a week and a stylist for a week, depending on if they do both or one, or whatever. And then they are to participate in our education, which is every Tuesday for a month. And that way they're up to scratch with the techniques that we do, they know how to do it.
It's very specific about that too.
Yeah.
Obviously that's a digital branding.
Yes, exactly. And then in terms of like new team members, I mean, wait, what was this next question?
With your training, well, yeah, that was
training.
But then your training just generally, like when people are already here and.
So we do, everyone's required to go to one external class per 2 months.
Yep.
So that has
So it's like 6 a year. Yep.
Yeah. And I'll pay for all of that.
Yep, me too.
And I think it's really important that they upskill themselves. If they don't go to classes and don't have the initiative, then that comes into their revenue time. It's like, why aren't you doing that?
Yeah.
We also hold internal classes like once every couple of months, or like once a month in Byron Bay, once every few months here, once every few months in Sydney, and everyone is expected to attend those things. I don't pay people to attend them. I expect that they attend.
Yeah.
If they're not attending, I want a good reason why they're not attending.
Yeah. We're sort of the same on that.
And,
I mean, you have to have some skin in the game. Like you have to want to be yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of money on incentives. Like for instance, I'm giving away BMW at the end of the year for the best performing stylist.
Oh my god.
So those things, and like the best performing retailer at the end of every month, on top of their incentive, gets $500 cash.
Nice.
So things like that.
Creative incentives as well, like not just money talks. Like I'm going to
Yes.
give you something. Yes, I love that.
Creating things like that, like it's important that they invest back into you.
And you like the competition. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I get really competitive.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm going to
I
sell
love
more. Yeah, I love that. Oh my god, I had another question, but it's just gone. With obviously you're on that higher price bracket.
Yeah.
Do you staff quote or use consult forms, or how does that kind of come about?
So my staff are required to quote for every single service.
Yep.
If they don't quote for the service, they are not allocated that sales. They don't get commission for it.
Wow, that's strict. I
Yes.
love. And on that, how do you calculate your commission and targets? Like, what's your process around that?
So everyone will have a base salary, then a target will be 3.5 times their gross base.
Yep.
And then they'll be on a commission structure of 10, 20, or 30% after that.
Yep.
Depending on how long they've been there for, what the pricing structure is, all that kind of jazz depends on how much commission they get.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then retail is $500 per week target. Since they hit the target, they get 10% of the whole amount.
Yep.
Um,
I'm to the same with mine. Mine's 600, I think, but it's
Yeah.
10%. Yeah, it's good.
And then extensions we do 20% on the actual hair.
Great.
Straight
Oh,
up.
that's big.
Yeah. Because there's a big markup.
There is a big markup, but it's also like an expensive service. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's good.
So, but we also charge per hour rate on top of the hair to apply, so then they get commission for that and the services as well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So it's like a double dip almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And how do you manage staff not achieving their targets?
I'm pretty lucky in the sense of service targets. Most people achieve that. Retail targets is a little difficult at times, but
and you have so much beautiful retail too.
so much retail.
Yeah, I'm the same junkie. Love it.
Yeah. So I mean, Alexandria wasn't performing that well in retail, so I just sat them all down and said, look, I'm giving you all these incentives.
What's going to drive you?
Why aren't you performing? And they were like, oh, I think we just need to be reminded every couple of days we're up to.
Okay, so they weren't actually tracking it.
Yeah.
So they needed that.
Yes.
Love.
And then that is double.
Love it. So that was the other question I had. Just you touched on a couple of times. Reviews. How often do you do them?
Yearly.
Okay, cool.
So we have what we call happy meetings.
Yep.
Every few months.
Yep.
Just to check in and see where people are at.
And do you do them yourself?
I try to.
Yeah.
I like to, and I just cut my days back in the salon so I can do them more.
Nice.
Because I think that staff appreciate it if I do it.
I 100% agree. I've just gone back to doing mine monthly, and the girls do them like in between. They just catch up. Same thing. It's like we just pull in a fortnightly review, but it's like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Quick chat, get it done.
Yeah.
That's
It works
awesome.
really well.
Yeah, I love that. And what do you do at your, like you said, it's yearly, so what's your yearly appraisal?
So it's
So
yearly
it's pretty
appraisal.
in-depth.
Yeah, it's in depth, and that's like at the point where we decide on a pay increase.
Yep.
And if it's warranted.
Yep.
So like I mean, I just still believe in dealing with issues as they arise. I don't really want to sit down
same.
every 2 weeks to have a chat. I just like if there's an issue, I just deal with it.
Yep.
Get the ball rolling. In the review, we talk about what went well, what didn't go well, what they need to improve, what they need to grow, and then what if they can move up a level in their pricing structure.
Yeah, great.
So all that kind of
How many
stuff as
tiers do you
well.
have?
I have 5 tiers and 4 tiers in each 5.
Yeah, okay. Wow. Yeah, got it.
So I do it that way. So like it'll just be say it's emerging 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Senior 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Master 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
And then director 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
I do it that way so that over the course of like a year or 2 years, depending on how quick
They can just grow like little bit by little bit.
structures. So not on, if they don't get a price, if they don't get a pay increase, they get a price increase, which increases in like commission.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Perfect. No, we do the same thing. Like, well, we only have 4 because we don't have the amount of staff that you do, but it's great because exactly that. Even though they may be on a lower wage, they're getting more commission, so it kind of works out.
Yes.
No, that's great. How many staff do you have across the board?
So at the moment, I think I have around 102 team members.
Yeah.
And about 75 of those are employees.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I know you're really tough on this, and I am as well. Tell me about your social media policy.
So I'm really strict on my social media policy.
Because you grow them.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. They're your people.
So look, I've had people leave who I haven't like. I'm like, it's cool. You can go. I'm not going to do anything.
I've had a couple as well.
And that really comes on down how that happens, right? So, if for example, if I have an apprentice come to me and they've been with me for 5 years and I've invested lots of money,
And you started them from day dot.
correct, then I'm going to have a problem if they want to try and use that social media when they leave.
Yep.
I'm not okay with that because I've invested it in them.
But they're your clients, you've given them. You've
That's
built
correct.
them. Yeah.
You know, and if a client wants to go find them or whatever, good luck to you.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, you'll come back.
But I think it should be on their own back and not off the back of you. So I've taken legal action several times now
Mhm.
to have those photos taken down, and I have one. So for all those people who think it doesn't work, it definitely works.
It's copyright law.
That's correct.
If you read the extract, it's actually copyright law. If
Yeah.
you're employed to do a job, it belongs to the employer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there are many things in my contracts that I do enforce, like trade restriction, have the proximity restriction.
So what's the proximity that you have? 10
kilometers.
Yep.
Um,
And how long?
for 1 year.
Yep. Wow.
So
Cool.
I put all
Which I
those
mean is
things
not a
down.
lot for Melbourne City.
No.
Like it's not a lot, but it's enough to kind of drive clients to stay.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also it gives me leverage when
Yep.
people leave. So the last 2 people have left, and they left for reasons that I just couldn't provide them what they wanted. One wanted a role that I didn't have.
Yep.
Another one just thought she had to work too hard because she didn't want to work hard. Well, that's not how I run. So you do what you want to do, and I can't think of what you want. So good luck.
Yeah.
And I said to them that if they removed all of their photos, I would let them keep their followers
Yep.
and not enforce a proximity restriction.
100%. I've
Yeah,
just
that's-
done that. Yep.
And they're okay with that.
Yep.
So it's about having some leverage in there so you don't have to go hard ass on the photos.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep. 100%. I've literally just done it 2 weeks ago. It was the same thing. I had a young guy leave, and it was just like, I'm happy for you. Just go. All the photos come down, and they did. All of them.
Yeah.
And he was fine with it.
And it's like, don't see that as like, no one should ever see that as threatening.
No.
And it's about like how you educate your staff to view that.
It's respect of it.
Because
Yeah.
if your staff are viewing it in a negative way, then that you can either educate them to view it in a good way, or you just don't. Just get rid of them.
100%. That's awesome. And do you have that built into their employment contracts?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Good. And actually on that, so you say you've got contracts with obviously with your staff, everybody has to have them. Also with your social media influencers and things like that. So do you have a solicitor that you use to do that?
Yeah, I do.
Just someone that's amazing.
I use Progressive Legal. They're an entrepreneurial based
Nice.
law firm.
Yeah, nice.
Which
So they're nice and fresh.
Yeah.
Young. Yeah.
Which is important for me. The guy I use mainly is Alex, and he's just a cool guy.
Nice. I love people like that.
He talks to you like a real fucking person.
Different view. Not in legal talk.
Yes.
Like actually in language.
And that's important. So if anyone does need a great solicitor or law firm, Progressive Legal. So good.
Love. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you manage what they post on social media? Because you hold their passwords and stuff too, is that right? Or did you used to do that?
So I don't manage what they post.
Yep.
And I don't look in the contract that does say I'm meant to hold their password, but it's really hard to manage.
Yeah.
However, my new policy is every employee gets issued a work email.
Yep.
And it's a
We do
great
the same
email
thing.
with
Yep.
the work email.
Yep.
So
You have the power to
rights,
close it down. 100%. We're actually just doing the same thing not long ago, and it's been working really well.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's about. It's mostly about education of like the clients do not belong to you; they belong to the salon and things like that too. So if you start that right from the get-go, it's good.
Yeah.
Last few questions, personal ones.
Oh yeah.
How do you manage life? Your bookings, your appointments, your salons, your education. Like you've got your hats, your hands, so many hats. Like how do you do it all? Do you have a person that does it for you?
Yeah.
Please do.
So I'm a big believer in if you can't do something well, find someone else to do it.
Really? Are you really disorganized?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
My husband is like,
Charlie's just like.
my husband hates me. He's like, I was like, I told you I'm going to Melbourne, right? He's like, no. I'm like, yes I did. He's like, no, you didn't tell me. I'm like, well, I'm going.
Well, bye. Back in 2 days.
So I have a personal assistant.
Yeah.
She's actually on leave right now and I'm dying without her.
Oh my god, the worst.
So then education, I have an education manager as well.
Lovely.
So I have a lot of people, and it took me a long time to get to that point.
Yeah.
I only had a PA for like the last 12 months.
Are they amazing?
Yeah, they're
Oh my
amazing,
god.
they're expensive.
Oh, I don't care though.
They're amazing.
I have my time back. It's fine. And my washing's done, and the dog's walked, and things are done.
And I see a psychologist as well, which I think is really important to know.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one to talk about because I know a lot of you guys get. Well, that does come up actually the next question, but yeah, that's really
So
good.
I can get really overwhelmed really easily. And like even if
is this like listening to like me in male form? Yeah. Like, oh my god, this is me. I just cry sometimes, and Charlie's like.
A few months ago, I had a bit of a meltdown, and I had to cancel like 3 weeks worth of travel.
Wow.
Just because I was at breaking point, and it was at a time when my new salon was opening.
Yeah. And that's overwhelming, right?
Very
So even if you're not directly involved with it, like I was overseas and these guys were cancelling, and I was just like, oh fucking god, when is it gonna open? And it's never coming. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see a psychologist every couple of months just to touch base. I've been seeing her since I was 16.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
just recognizing if you are at a breaking point that you actually do need to step back and take a breath, and then even if there are consequences to that, you can deal with them after that break.
Yeah, I agree with
And
you.
nothing's dire.
Yeah,
Nothing's ever as bad as getting hit by a car.
or as like what you're telling yourself you hit at the time.
Yeah.
So well, that was the next thing. So what do you find most beneficial to just overcoming just general obstacles, blocks, anything that you come up against? Is it literally just the psychologist? Do you do anything else?
Yeah, I do meditation as well every few weeks.
Beautiful.
With a guy in Sydney. Go to my psychologist. I think it's really important. One of the reasons I do find myself getting stressed is because I don't say what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't say what I'm trying to say. When I speak or communicate to my staff, I say half of what I mean and half what they want to hear.
Yeah, right.
So I've been training myself to say exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Just so that then I don't get overwhelmed with the stress of them not doing what I want.
Yeah, because you haven't actually gotten it out properly. Exactly. Yeah, and you don't want to hurt them or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and like also when you are going through tough times, don't be scared about people leaving, because if they're going to leave, they're already left.
I feel like they tune out.
Yeah.
And then you actually look back on it and you're like, you've been tuned out for ages. Like, I feel like you just should have left ages ago. That's awesome advice, because people get so overwhelmed with people leaving. And I mean, even us, just that one staff member down. Yeah. And I feel like when somebody leaves, you just welcome someone new and amazing in. That's awesome advice. Yeah. And so, lucky last, what would be one piece of advice that you wish somebody had told you when you were first like starting out?
Have a lawyer.
I love this.
So when I first started out, I lost $50,000 in the first summer.
Oh my god.
And it was because I didn't have a contract, and they didn't tell me the building was going to be knocked down.
Oh my gosh.
So they got me to do a strike, and it was purely because I didn't have any legal advice.
Yeah.
So if you are going into opening a salon or going into partnership with anyone, always seek legal advice. Go down that road, spend the money, invest, and it will be okay.
That's awesome. That's really good. I'm going to do a quick check here. Do you guys have any other questions? There's anyone in the chat box? Just a smiley face. Awesome. Well, like, that's amazing. Like, amazing advice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you,
It's really
guys.
nice to get you to open up and actually hear a bit more about what goes on in your head. And I think it's, like, so nice for me, I know anyway, to hear that I'm so normal. Like, I'm so sporadic. Charlie hates me sometimes. So I just have a million ideas, and then I just want to cry, and then everything just gets overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's normal. Like, it took me a long time to realize that that's normal.
100%. Yeah, no, I agree. And I did the same thing as you. Recently, I had to take 2 weeks off because I just had to take 2 weeks off. I was like, I'm done. I'm actually going to crack.
Yeah.
So
I cracked.
so you're like, I'm there. Yeah, it's time.
I went home to my husband and I said, if I don't have some time off, I think I'm going to murder someone. And it was one person in particular who was working with a lot. There was a problem.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm going to be put in jail.
Yeah. I think we need to just keep him away from sharp objects. I love that. Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I'll upload this story so you can listen back if you want to, but hope you got heaps of notes. Thank you so much, Jaye and Caitlyn, for this amazing interview. Thanks, guys. See ya.